preheat your oven and pour yourself a towel in because it's time to make some I've made challah a few times, but today I'm trying a recipe I've never used before from onceuponachef.com. We start with 560 grams of all-purpose flour. Now let's get something straight. All-purpose is a misnomer. There are plenty of purposes for which flour does not apply, like reading a book, or but anyway, to the flour we add a tablespoon of yeast and 2 teaspoons of kosher salt. To moisten, we take 180 milliliters of lukewarm water, 90 milliliters of canola oil, and a ton of honey. Come on, get off of there. Get off the spoon. Get the off the spoon! That's one of the reasons I wanted to use this recipe. It's got so much honey in it compared to the King Arthur recipe I normally use, because I've got this special honey from Skep Sisters in Sherburne, New York, and I want to taste that in my bread. I'm also going to use some of this honey in a custard tomorrow morning to make French toast with this bread. But no, you won't get to see it because I will not be recording that at 6 in the morning. Sticky fingers. Next, I add 2 eggs that I've let warm up to room temperature. If you forget to pull your eggs out of the fridge early, like I normally do, just give them a soak in a little warm water and they'll warm up in no time. The warmer eggs will help the yeast do its work. With a 3rd egg, put the yolk in the dough, but reserve the white for a little egg wash later on. So it's not a big deal in this case that a couple yolk droplets got into the white. If we aren't whipping it, nobody will ever know. Mix the dry and the wet with the dough hook for a few minutes and then finish them up the old-fashioned way on the countertop. This is exercise and it's good for you. And it means A, that you can slather extra butter on the final product, and B, that you can drink an extra beer. Speaking of which, today's beer is Odell Brewing Company Wolf Picker IPA. Per Odell's website, the 2022 Wolf Picker Experimental IPA is here. This year we're featuring the newcomer hop known only as HBC 1019, which brings notes of sweet tropical fruit, light melon, grapefruit, and a delicate floral hop aroma. It's very flavorful considering it's a session IPA. Or is it a session IPA? I don't know. It's a low ABV IPA, see? But it's very tasty, hoppy and fruity. And is that a hint of apricot? No. Really, I'm asking you, is that a hint of apricot? Because everyone is always like a hint of apricot. But who the knows what an apricot tastes like? Because I sure as don't. Would I rather have an IPA that's a bit stronger? Of course I would. I actually bought this one not realizing it was a session IPA. But the moral of the story is if you're looking for a poundable IPA, this is a fantastic choice. It actually might be the best session or not session IPA I've ever had. Once the dough doubles, it's time to braid it, and here you've got some options. You can do a 3-strand or a 4-strand or even a 6-strand. You can't do a 1-strand because that's just a loaf. Don't be a and I'm not psyched about the way this looks, so I'm gonna undo it. If you ever have trouble during your braiding or shaping or whatever, just let the dough sit for a few minutes so the gluten relaxes. It's wound up real tight and you're not going to get the result from it that you want if you keep on pushing it. It's just like when you get in a fight with your wife. Just walk away for 15 minutes before you say something stupid. Then when you go back to it, you'll have an arsenal of smart things to say that you never would have thought of in the first place. But wait a second, we're talking about bread. Okay. On the second attempt, I feel much better. The top of the braid is always a little ugly for me, but I just roll and pinch the end underneath, and that does an okay job of covering my tracks. Oh, look at that. Tickle that bubble. Tickle, tickle. Now it's going to hang out for another hour or so to puff up a bit before we give it that egg wash with that leftover white, those few droplets of yolk that were not supposed to be in there, and a little splash of water. It goes into a however many degree oven for however many minutes until it looks like this, and also until it has an internal temperature of 190. Let it rest, slice it, eat some now if you want. It's gonna be warm, flaky, chewy, a little crisp from that crust. It's sweet from the honey. It's delicious. So you have to try a little bit of it now, regardless of if you're saving the rest for a selfishly lazy unrecorded French toast tomorrow morning.